Hello and welcome to the 2025 Jack Tosh Holiday Classic Preview Show. My name is Luca DeSanto. Alongside me, Zach Silkaitis, Griffin, Hanna, and John Finucane. We have so much action to get to. I mean, this is just a loaded bracket this year. But one of the questions we get asked so much is what goes into making the bracket. We sat down with basketball guru Aaron Britton to discuss the crafting of this year's bracket and past brackets, and just the tournament overall. Listen now. Joined here now by Aaron Britton. Aaron Britton, heavily involved with the Jack Tosh and the planning going into it. Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us and talk a bit about the tournament this year.
Thanks for the call, Luca. The pleasure's all mine.
All right, let's jump right in. Can you describe to the people what specifically do you do for the Jack Tosh going into the planning and the creation of the bracket itself?
I would say that I'm a consultant of the bracket, alongside Mark Tomzak and Vince Doran. We're chatting, daily from the time the tournament starts until the time the bracket comes out. We're always spitballing the top 8 seeds, and that's our key focus of identifying those top 8 seeds, and then creating some competitive balance throughout all 32 teams, and then the schedule conflict matrix that we use to make sure that teams don't play a regular season opponent within the first 2 rounds of the tournament is something that we also spend a good deal of time on.
All right. Personally, you have seen so many Jack Toshes. What are some of your fondest memories or best games of the Tosh that you can remember in general?
Well, one of the memories that I think back on frequently is the first game that I ever watched at the Jack Tosh. It was the 2017 tournament, and Rolling Meadows was playing Hinsdale South, and Rolling Meadows had a freshman by the name of Max Christie. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of blown away at this freshman, and I thought this kid probably has a good chance of being in the NBA someday, and that's right where he is. That is the first and probably one of the more fondest memories that I have. And then the New Year's Eve title games is always another really nice touch to this tournament. This year there's going to be quite a few other tournaments that are finishing on New Year's Eve, but most years the Jack Tosh is the only tournament that's finishing up on New Year's Eve. So it's an afternoon. There's 3 games. It's a really nice crowd for all 3 of those games. And then the 2018 title game between York and Downer South. That was a really good York team, and that was like a 2 or 3 point game in that title game. It was Sam Walsh and Eric Cohn, and Nate Shockey for that York team, and then the 23 tournament where all 4 semifinalists would eventually play in a sectional final in the postseason, and that title game between Metamora and Bolingbrook, I think you could arguably say was the best title game that tournament's ever had.
Have to agree there. And just, looking at things from retrospect, you talked about that York team, some past Bolingbrook teams for sure. What are some of the greatest Tosh teams you can remember from your time, whether or not they made it to to day 5 or the championship or anything like that? What are some of the greatest teams you believe you have seen?
21 Glenbard West, I think, is at the top, and I think you could put them in a conversation for maybe the best team that's ever played basketball in the state of Illinois. They were dominant. They played Lions in that title game, and it was, they blew out everybody in that tournament, and that's pretty much what they did all year. Bolingbrook team last year was very good, very talented, and then that, as we had touched on, the York team from 2018.
With it being another big storyline, obviously, with the Tosh over the last few years, with it being Metamora's 3rd year in the tournament, what kind of appeal does this give to the tournament outside of Chicagoland, with this being one of the only team to ever come from outside of Chicagoland to play at Jack Tosh?
Well, I know in the Peoria area, it has some buzz there. They've had multiple media people come up to cover their games, and I know the tournament committee is actively reaching out into other conferences outside of the Chicagoland and trying to get some teams into this tournament that are not in the Chicagoland area. I know we tried to get East Peoria into the tournament this year, and it didn't work out, but they're going to be a very good 3A team, and they would fit really well in this tournament. they're in the same conference as Metamora, but we would have been able to, make sure that they wouldn't see each other in those first 2 days. But, I think we could potentially look at getting a team like East St. Louis in there, or some other teams, Rock Island, good names from out of the area that would just slowly grow the appeal of this tournament from outside the area.
For sure. And looking inside of teams even more with the 32 that we have this year, whether it's teams or individuals, from what you have seen or everything that you follow, what are some storylines fans should be aware of with teams and players in specific?
I would start with can Pats win their first title? They're unbeaten so far, and that's the Mike Bailey-led group has yet to win this tournament. That's one storyline. The other one is this is Metamora's third season. They've reached the semifinal the previous two. Can they continue that trend? And then I think Glenbard East has an opportunity to really legitimize their hot start right now. So far, they would potentially run into Palatine in that quarterfinal game if the seeds hold out, and I think they would have an opportunity to really pick up some nice wins in this tournament. And then St. Ignatius is undefeated right now, but they have two huge games leading into this tournament. They have a conference game against DePaul Prep, and then they play Curie out of the Public League, and those are two of the I think consensus top 5 teams in the state right now. So if they can win those two and be undefeated when this tournament starts, like that's a really good indicator for how good that team would be. And if they're undefeated, and if Pats is still undefeated and they played on that New Year's Eve tournament title game, that would be I think you could circle that one as maybe one of the more fond memories going forward.
Absolutely. And at the time of this recording, the bracket was released just the night before at 6 p.m. Just looking at the bracket entirely, what are some of those day one games that people should be on the lookout for that you may see as being the closest games?
The Downer South and Oswego game, I think, should be a really good game. And I think you could look at that as maybe the loser of that game runs the table on the consolation side and gets to that consolation game on New Year's Eve. Ethan Vall is a highly touted sophomore for Oswego, and then Adam Flower of Downer South recently surpassed his 1,000th career point for those guys. I really like the look of that game. And then Yorkville and Glenbard West. Glenbard West is they're off to a slow start, but they're a team that always guards really well, and they tend to perform really well in this tournament. Stagg and Glenbard South is another game that I really like. Stagg is currently undefeated. Wheaton North and Lake Forest, and Rolling Meadows and Lake Zurich. Those are the games that I have circled for the first round.
Absolutely. I was just saying it the other day, these are some of the best day one games I can remember the tournament having in a while, as it seems like a very even playing field. All credit to you guys for putting it together this year, Aaron. Thank you so much for taking the time of your day to sit down with us, and thank you so much for everything you do for the tournament.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again to Aaron Britton for sitting down with us. Now let's dig into this bracket this year, starting off with the first game in the South Gym on day one. Hinsdale South versus Glenbard East. Hinsdale South coming in 2-6. Glenbard East coming in 7-1. Zach, what do we have on the Hornets?
Like you said, 2-6 start, not ideal for what they wanted this season. This is their 11th appearance in the Jack Tosh, so they're looking to make something happen this year. Last time that they did good was in 2015. They took 3rd place, and that's their best appearance so far in the Jack Tosh.
And Griffin, how about these Glenbard East Rams? I mean, off to an amazing start. Pretty high seed heading into this tournament.
As you said, off to a great start. They're coming in 7-1, and they're coming in as heavy favorites against the Hornets here. One player to watch out for is Michael Nee. He's a great basketball player, dominates on the football field and the court, alongside Danny Snyder and Jacob Marinowski.
We sat down with head coach Scott Tanaka of Hinsdale South to discuss what his team will be looking like this season. I'm joined here now by Coach Scott Tanaka of Hinsdale South. Hinsdale South returning for yet another year of Jack Tosh. Coach Tanaka, thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us.
Definitely. Appreciate it.
Let's jump right in. 2 players who are returning for you are the Therapos boys. What game will Noah and Nico provide for the Hornets?
They've done a great job of buying into what we're trying to install here at Hinsdale South. They're both really good shooters, really good teammates. They can handle the ball. They can pass the ball. They can shoot the three. Most importantly, they're doing what we're trying to develop on the defensive end, which is take charges, dive after loose balls. And they're normally defending players that are taller and a little bit stronger than them. So I give them a lot of credit for stepping up to the challenge and doing a great job of buying into everything that we're trying to install.
You guys are you yourself are a relatively new coach to the Hinsdale South program. What are you looking to do this year with this team, both in the Tosh and at the state level?
It's all character building. It's all culture building is what we're trying to do. Hinsdale South kind of went through some things. I had done the girls for a little bit, and then they asked me to come over and do the boys and try to develop the culture of discipline, character, and all those kinds of things that are going to get this program back to being one of the top teams in the state of Illinois. And it's going to take some time, but the good thing is we have really young talent at our freshman and sophomore level, and our juniors and seniors have really bought in and are developing the type of tradition and culture that we need here at this school to get back to a top 25 team in the state.
Just looking at things from abroad, what are some storylines we should be on the lookout for you guys coming into the tournament?
We have some young guys that have really come out and done a good job here so far. We have a junior in Maurice Oglesby, who's kind of been our point guard. Another one in Kareem Esseley, who we kind of have 2 point guards, which is they're a little bit on the shorter side, but they're strong, stocky point guards that can shoot it, they can attack. And they've been doing some really good things for us. We have a couple of sophomores in Louis Dusek and Caden Verdun who've come in and done a nice job. And we've done seniors that were with us last year, when they were juniors, and they've done a good job of going right into this season. And like I said, it's been all about a culture building type of year for us. And I think we're off to a great start, even though the record might not say it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to you guys in the tournament this year.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Thank you to Coach Tanaka for sitting down with us. For this matchup, we also sat down with Coach Kelly of Glenbard East to discuss his ball club as well.
I am joined here by Coach Kelly of Glenbard East. Glenbard East looking very strong coming into the tournament. Coach, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's definitely an honor to be involved in this great tournament.
Awesome. Love to hear it. So just starting off, you guys won the Battle of the Glenbards for your Thanksgiving tournament, beating Glenbard North, South, and West soundly. That's 2 Tosh teams in there. What position do you believe that puts your team in heading into this tournament?
Obviously, we have a lot of confidence coming in, and obviously it's because of the results of what we did there and what we did over the summer and really over the course of the last year. I mean, we've got a lot of seniors. 9 of our guys on our rosters are seniors, and those are guys coming back from a team that won 22 games last year and won a regional and won a conference championship. So we've got a lot of confidence.
Awesome. Talking about a bit about your best guy, Mike Nee, committed to South Dakota. Michael O'Brien dubbed him the best shooter in the state of Illinois heading into the season. What kind of stuff is he off to?
Yeah, so Mike is off to a good start. Just our last game the other night, he went 5 out of 12 from the 3 in our first home game that we just had this past week. One of the best, not just shooters in the state, one of the best in the country. He played on the Adidas circuit for breakaway basketball, and really, he was one of the top 3-point shooters on the national level. So, he's a great kid and one of the best shooters really in the country.
You also have 2 all-conference players in Danny Snyder and Jacob Marianowski returning. What kind of role are they playing for your team this season?
Yeah, so Danny is, very similar to Mike, where he can really shoot the ball, except he's a lefty. He's added some strength from last year. He's gained 8 pounds from last year, so he's been able to take contact a little bit better and score in the mid-range. And so, he's really added to his game. And Jacob Marinowski, who is an undersized post guy at about 6'3", and he's really great around the basket, but he's also developed his game. Last year, he only had 1 made 3-pointer on the season. This year, he already has 4 through 4 games, so he's expanded his game. and he's also added 11 pounds since last year. So, our guys have really beefed up and gotten better, and, we're ready for, this tournament.
You guys also added Keenan House, a transfer from Bolingbrook. What does he bring to the table for you guys?
Yeah, he brings something we've not had in my tenure at Glenbard East, and that's an athlete who's got size and skill and IQ. He's already scored in double figures multiple games. Like I said, he's about 6'2", about 185, really strong, played on the football team, and he's, welcome addition, a kid with a great attitude, and just brings us, athleticism that we haven't had.
Awesome to hear. And then overall, what is your goal for the tournament this year?
Our goal is we want to win the tournament. We're making no bones about it. We have big goals as far as this season's concerned. We would obviously it's a lot of work that goes into it, and there are a lot of great teams and a lot of great coaches in this tournament, and it'll be a tall task. But our ultimate goal is, we want to be playing on New Year's Eve and winning the tournament.
Awesome to hear. Thank you so much, Coach Kelly. Best of luck to your team. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having us, and we're looking forward to being over there on the 26th.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. John, obviously this Glenbard East team comes in as the favored one, so if you're Coach Tanaka in Hinsdale South, what are you telling your men to do?
I mean, when you got a 6'5" guard, he was rated top shooter this year in the preseason. An South Dakota State commit. So, I mean, this is a great kid out on the field. Only played one game last year. I'm excited to see what he does opening day. But I'm just going to say you got to concern himself. You got to put yourself in the game, know where he's going to do, know what he's going to do, because then you can stop him right there.
Absolutely. Now let's look at the next matchup, which is Glenbrook South versus Stag. A very interesting matchup to see on day one. John, what do we have on these Titans?
These Titans are going to come in 4-3. One of their better records this year. They placed in the semifinals in 1979. So they're going to come back, try to see what they can do this year.
Pretty graduated team. I mean, you look at it, they just graduated Nessus Hajistamalu, so it will be interesting to see what they do without him and how they find their way, but they still have a lot of great pieces. Now, for these Stag Chargers, I think it's definitely one of the best storylines of the tournament this year, Griffin. I mean, last year they won one single regular season game. They went 0-4 in the tournament. They start off this season 7-1 with their only loss to top-ranked Homewood Flossmoor.
That's right, people. Stag basketball is back. Last year, only one win, but this year, only one loss heading into the tournament. As you said, Luca, they went 0-4, looking to turn that early, and I think they have an easy win against Glenbrook South here.
We sat down with head coach Marty Struess to discuss this hot start and what his team is looking like this season. Joined here over phone by Coach Struess of the Stag Chargers. Stag returning for yet another season to the Jack Tosh, one of its longest consecutive members. Coach Struess, let's start out here. You guys have really been turning heads. You guys kind of had a rough season last year, only winning one game, but now you're off to a 5-0 start, winning your Thanksgiving tournament, beating a Tosh team in Naz, and beating a Palos rival in Shepherd. What's been clicking for you guys?
I think we got a lot of guys just working really hard, and we've been led over the last couple of weeks. Senior Omar Barricat's been awesome for us in terms of being a guy who was part of our team last year, and you mentioned it, not having the greatest of year last year in terms of wins and losses, but we talked all throughout last year of you can have a season like we had, and wins and loss wise it's not successful, but you can make it a successful season by what you learn from it. And we have three guys that got a lot of playing time last year, and Omar, Mo Farhan, and Dovi Zapurna, and I think those guys have all really bought into that philosophy of we want to be on the other side of those games this year, and they've played really tough, and like I said, it's a good start, but it's a start. There's a lot of season left, and we're just trying to keep getting better.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of brought up Omar, another couple players, Dovidas Zuperka and Mo Farhan. What have they specifically been doing for your team this year?
Yeah, Mo and Dovi,
both were up as sophomores last year on varsity, and in all honesty, when you're sophomores and your team, when we have the record we have last year, it was kind of just they're out there playing last year. There really wasn't a ton on the line. We weren't competing for a conference championship or anything at any point last year. So those guys just got a lot of free reign to play and experience things. And, this year they step up with a little bit more on their plates in terms of being leaders. And they both have great size. Mo's kind of an undersized 5-man, but really has some good athleticism and can really jump. And he anchors our defense for the most part. Dovey really shoots the basketball at 6'8". It's a nice luxury to have of a guy who can shoot over a lot of people, and he's still continuing to become a better rebounder and can really impact the game defensively as well with his length.
You guys, obviously with the 5-0 start, you guys have some conference games leading up to the Tosh, including games against Sandburg and home at Flossmoor. Are you feeling prepared for those?
Yeah. Playing games helps you get more prepared. I've liked our schedule we've had. We played 3 games at Thanksgiving, and then we had a few days to practice. And then we just played back-to-back games, and now we have a few days off here where we can, again, practice and get better at some things. And, you can get better at playing while playing games, but a lot of times that's kind of up to your opponent, too, in terms of their style, and they might not fit with what you might be trying to work on a given day. So, last night we had a really good test against Shepherd where it was a close game. They really got up and pressured us, and they have some length on their back end. And we got a couple guys in foul trouble that we had to deal with. So it was one of those games that really tests you and I think makes you better. And I think we learned a lot about ourselves last night. And you want to be at your best when conference games start. And I'm looking forward to the next few days of practice, and hopefully we can get to that point.
It was a pretty difficult Tosh for you guys last year. It was no secret that you guys had one of the toughest schedules of any team, not on the champion side after day one. How do you guys plan on bouncing back this year specifically?
Yeah, I don't know anyone leaves Tosh saying we had an easy schedule for the week. It's a bear, and part of what makes it great is that you're going to get tested every game, and we get asked all the time, like, don't you want to go play somewhere else? And going 0-4 has got to be tough, and yeah, it is. Nobody wants to go 0-4, but the way the tournament's run and the job you guys do in terms of promoting it and televising the games, it's such a cool thing for our kids to be a part of and experience, and we're fortunate to get the opportunity to play at the Tosh. I think the tournament format is hopefully something we've kind of got ourselves used to here. We played 3 games in a row last week. We played 2 games in a row this week. We'll have another stretch right before Christmas where we play a back-to-back. So I think we'll have some things to fall back on in terms of how to prepare on no days prep. And that's kind of what it is. You got 32 great coaches and great teams who they're going to work really hard to be ready to play that given day. And, a lot of times it's a battle of styles and who's ready to play it and whose style is going to win out. So we're looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach Struess. Best of luck to you guys this year in the tournament.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you in advance for all the work that you guys will do throughout the week. You guys do an awesome job. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
I think it's pretty interesting to look at this team from abroad, Zach. But who are some of those players that we should be on the lookout for?
You got to look out for Omar Barakrat, who had a solid tournament last year, and he's looking to do even better this year. He's currently averaging 10 points per game in just 4 games. Also, you got to look out for Zapurka. He is 6'8". He's a big dude. He's going to be a big problem for teams, especially for the Titans.
A breakaway basketball product. Now let's look at Walter Payton versus Palatine. Walter Payton, their freshman year here in the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. Very interesting team to look out for. John, what do we have on the Grizzlies?
Well, I mean, you did say it already. First year here for the Grizzlies, but I will say C.J. Pittman, their guard, is somebody to look out more. One of the top sophomores in the CPL, a great player out of this CPL program. So, I mean, he's going to come in here and maybe show us what we're missing.
The Grizzlies, one of the 3 new Chicago Public League teams coming into the tournament this year, but the Palatine Pirates, longtime members of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. Zach, what do we have on them?
Yeah, like you were saying, this is their 43rd appearance in the Jack Tosh, 3rd most appearances ever. You got players such as Tony Belganyehi. He returns for his 3rd year as a junior, which is absolutely ridiculous. He averaged 15.5 points last year and 6.5 rebounds per game. This is going to be a scary team to look at.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the guard depth that this team has as well. It's pretty interesting to look at. We sat down with Coach Eric Millstone of the Palatine Pirates to discuss his team's hot start and what else they have been up to. Joined here now by Coach Eric Millstone of the Palatine Pirates, one of the highest seeds coming into the tournament, keeping an undefeated record alive. They are 6-0 right now, face off against Hersey the night of this recording. Coach Millstone, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys run a great production over there.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Just looking at your, record so far, like I said, you guys are 6-0. You guys have played some pretty tough opponents with picking up wins against Libertyville, Lake Park, Stevenson, Rolling Meadows, all very solid programs. Talk a bit about the start that your team has been off to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good start. Obviously we've got a lot of work to do, and I think every coach in America is probably saying the same thing regardless of record at this point in the season. We host a Thanksgiving tournament, and we kind of pride ourselves in bringing in some good teams there. So no matter who we play at Thanksgiving, it's going to be some quality opponents. And really what you're trying to do is just gauge where you're at early in the season. And we've been fortunate enough to kind of do enough good things to string together a few wins. But at the end of the day, we also know what our holes are and what we need to address. So, I'd be lying if I said we weren't pleased with the start, but we also know that we got a long way to go here.
You guys returned Tony Belganier. He is a senior now. He's committed to the University of Illinois for football as a 3-star, but he has really been great production-wise for you guys on the basketball court as well. He returns for his 3rd year. Last year he averaged 16 points and 7 rebounds. An absolutely electric performance day by day from him. Talk a bit about the start that he's been off to this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute pleasure having Tony out for basketball, and everybody looks at him as a big-time football prospect, which he absolutely is. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is he loves basketball. Like, he's always played basketball. I think, he loves the sport. He loves his teammates. And sometimes in this day and age, you'll get guys that are going to focus on one sport, and once they kind of reach the pinnacle of that sport, then they're going to stop playing some of the other ones. And we've just been really fortunate with Tony and how he's stuck with basketball the last couple of years. And yeah, 3-year starter for us. And I think one of the things that just makes him stick out is just his ability to move, like how athletic he is at the weight that he is. I think we got him listed at 280 this year. And I asked him before the season, is that a good 280? And he looked me in the eye, actually looked down on me, of course, but he said, yeah, it's a good weight. And who am I to tell him what he should be playing at? Because he's effective whatever weight he's playing at. And he does so many good things for us. But it's his motor too. So besides the fact that he's productive, he's got a great motor, and he just kind of shows the younger kids in our program that you can be a legit college prospect in one sport and still play another sport as well.
Coach, I mean, just looking at your roster up and down, I mean, there's so many names that I can recognize from previous years. I mean, you return James May, Alex Iliopoulos, both the May brothers for that matter, as well as Brady May, Darren Dick, and obviously Tony. I mean, you guys, is that consistency helping you guys play into your great start? I mean, you have so many returning guys. I would assume they'd be gelling well together. Has that been the case?
Yeah, I think you can say that. We've got a good group of kids that really, they play for each other. And we've also been fortunate, the Iliopoulos brothers, Alex is the 3rd one. James May is the cousin of Brady May, and Brady is the younger brother of Casey, who graduated last year, and Connor, who's now a sophomore and tearing it up at Wash U. So we've got some familiar names, maybe not the same player, but some familiar names. But with that said, those kids do understand kind of what the ones before them have done and kind of laid the groundwork. And they're great teammates, and they just want to pick up where their predecessors left off.
You guys have a pretty interesting schedule leading up from now to the tournament. You guys face Hersey, South Elgin, a Tosh team, then Fremd, who has Jordan Williams, a very solid conference opponent for you guys, and then another conference opponent in Conant, who is also in the Jack Tosh. Talk a bit about some of these upcoming games and how they're going to get you prepared come December 26th.
Yeah, it's just they're all steps along the way, and we're not going to live and die with each win. We're going to use it as kind of a litmus test and see the things that we're good at, try and continue to do those, and where we get exposed, we try and fix those and try and patch those holes up. Now the MSL has realigned this year, so Conant, we actually picked them up as a non-conference game this year. So Hersey has now become an MSL West opponent. Conant is now in the MSL East. So we have two really tough conference games coming up tonight, and then next Friday, we're looking forward to South Elgin tomorrow. And then Conant, coached by Greg Grana, he's a former player at Palatine, and we think the world of him. And, we're going to try and we want to play against teams that are well coached and do the right thing. So we're looking forward to the next 4 games that we got coming up here.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys leading up to the tournament and in the Jack Tosh this year.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks again for having me, and keep doing what you guys are doing. It's one of the things that makes the Tosh so special, so kudos to you guys as well.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Coach Millstone, for sitting down with us. Griffin, looking at this matchup, this is obviously Walter Payton's freshman year in the tournament. This is an interesting introduction that they're going to have. How do you slow down the Pirates?
I don't know if you can slow down the Pirates. The combination of Tony Belganyehi and Darren Dick, those two, they honestly remind me of a Kobe and Shaq. Tony Belganyehi, he's a dominant force down low. He averaged 15.5 points per game and 6 rebounds last year, only as a junior, and Darren Dick holds down that backcourt for the Pirates. And if I'm being honest, Walter Payton kind of drew a short straw here. They not only had a tough matchup going against Palatine first round, but if they're able to win this game, they're in a tough quadrant as well for being in their first year at the Tosh.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the final game in this first quadrant in the South Gym on day one. It's going to be the Lake Forest Scouts versus the Wheaton North Falcons. Lake Forest coming in 2-6. Wheaton North coming in 5-3. John, what are the Scouts looking like this year?
Well, for the Scouts, you're going to have Dominic Mornetti, who averages 12 points per game, a newer head coach also with Joe Penningiega. And it's a fairly new team, so you got to see what a 2-6 team is going to bring to this Tosh.
Absolutely. And for the Wheaton North Falcons, a nice 5-3 start for them. Zach, what are we looking at for them?
They come to the Tosh. They always play good basketball. This is always a competitive team we see. Last couple of years, they've been pretty solid. This year, we're looking for senior Henry Schlickman, averaging 12.8 points per game currently, and also Bell Gilmar, who's averaging 5.5 points per game. Solid rotation of players, great mix of juniors and seniors. We're going to see how they do this tournament.
Yeah, and Griffin, I really like this matchup, me personally. These are two great suburban teams going up against each other. Pretty even if you were to ask me, but, what would you say is the storyline for this game?
I would say this game is more than just what the records show. Obviously, if you go based off records, Wheaton North is favored. A 5-3 team against a 2-6 team. That should be obvious who's going to win this game. But you know what? I like the Scouts for this game. They're under a new head coach, and he brings in a fairly new team. It's practically unscoutable. You don't really know what's going to happen this year at the Tosh. And for Wheaton North, yes, they're 5-3, but they haven't really played many competitive teams, and the competitive teams they've won, that's where majority of their 3 losses comes from.
That wraps up the first quadrant in the South Gym. When we come back, we will have the second quadrant from the South Gym coming your way. Moving on to the second quadrant for the 51st Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. It's going to be in the South Gym. In the first game of that quadrant will be Nazareth versus Metamora. Nazareth coming in 4-4, Metamora coming in 5-3. It's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. Zach, what do we have on those Roadrunners?
Roadrunners, they're currently 4-4. Last year they had a crazy matchup, and they won in the first round against that amazing star-studded GBW. They finished 2-2 last year, which is unfortunate. They had some tough matchups, especially against Christ the King in that second round, who went on to lose to Nazareth later on. Fenwick later on. And now, this year, they lost Wierzinski, one of their best players from last year, but they still got a star-studded lineup.
Absolutely. And then looking at these Redbirds, Griffin, what do we have on them?
This is one of the first years in a while we've seen the Redbirds without Matthew Zobrist. He's graduated and he's on to playing collegiate ball. Right now, the Redbirds come in with a big question mark hanging over their heads. They're 5-3. A lot of seniors graduated. They roster along 7 sophomores, along 2 freshmen, and only 1 senior. This is definitely a newer team, and they're ready for a 2-year run already.
Yeah, I mean, they've made it to day 5 in both of their years of the Jack Tosh. They came in their first year and won. They were the first downstate team in the history of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. It's truly incredible just to see what they've done. We sat down with Coach Dame of the Metamora Redbirds to see what their squad has been up to. I'm joined now by Coach Justin Dame of Metamora. Metamora, their 3rd year in the tournament, the only team from south of Chicagoland. Coach Dame, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome back to the Jack Tosh.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Let's start right out. You guys graduated 2 D1 talents in Matthew Zobrist, who is now playing at Bradley, and Jonah Funk, who is now playing at South Dakota. How are you guys finding yourselves without them?
We're really young right now. I think this summer we only had 4 kids with driver's licenses. Right now we've got a lot of 16-year-olds. A lot of inexperienced varsity players. I think our first game of the season, we had 7 kids with their varsity career high. So a lot of new stuff for us right now.
You guys had a pretty interesting tournament last year, as you were able to edge out a day 1 win against Wheaton North in double overtime, then beat Palatine by mounting a huge 4th quarter comeback late in the game. After this, you were able to handle Rolling Meadows. You would lose to the eventual champs in Bolingbrook in the Final Four, but would rebound on the 5th day in the 3rd place game by beating Lake Zurich. What are you guys trying to do in order to play on day 5 for the 3rd time in a row now?
Man, you just summarized exactly what the Jack Tosh is all about. A lot of really good games and different styles, and you may be one of the top seeds, but no game's going to be easy. So for us, we got to play really good defense when we come up here. It's kind of what we're hanging our hat on right now with a young team. We're not as big as we have been. We're not as strong as we have been, not as experienced or skilled as we have been. We're young. I think those guys are going to get there in a year or two. But right now we're kind of relying on our defense and holding teams under 50 points or trying to get to 40 as much as we can. So we really got to shorten the game up as much as we can. And we got to play well to win. So we can't have any games like last year at the Jack Tosh where maybe we didn't play great. We still came out with a win. We're going to have to play good every game to win up there.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, you're the first team in Jack Tosh history to come from outside of Chicagoland or from the central Illinois area. You guys have also started off by playing out-of-state talent as well in your Thanksgiving tournament. How do you view this as an advantage, not only playing these out-of-state teams, but playing central Illinois teams who are way outside of conferences from most teams in the Jack Tosh?
Yeah, I think playing at the Tournament of Champions, start off our season playing against teams that are, from year to year, sometimes nationally ranked, which we saw last year, or may just have some, like our first game of the year had a 7-foot kid going to Texas A&M, and we play in a big environment, and it's a packed gym over there in Washington, 2,000 people. So I think it really prepares us for big conference games, big holiday tournament games like we see at the Jack Tosh, big pressure situations, and just unfamiliarity. The thing you get with Christmas tournaments and Thanksgiving tournaments is not a lot of time to prepare and scout for the next team. You might have to turn around and just play the next day with no practice time. So those events kind of prepare us for the postseason when you get to playing on a Wednesday and you get one day to recover and get ready for a Friday regional championship or sectional or what have you. So I think those things kind of prepare us for what's to happen later in the season.
You mentioned how you have an extremely young core this year. No seniors, am I correct? No seniors.
We do have one senior. We weren't planning on a senior, but we have a foreign exchange student in our school this year. He played on the football team. He's playing on the basketball team too. Thiago Gracia, whose father was a foreign exchange student here in, I think, 1988, 87, somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s. So following his father's footsteps. So we do have one senior on the roster, but everybody else is junior, sophomores, and a freshman.
Well, there's a storyline right there, which leads into my next question. What are some of the storylines that fans should look out for the Redbirds this year?
Definitely, our youth, how many young guys we have, how many young guys are playing for us. You got a guy like Brady Jones, who was our only starter last year, returning. Started as a freshman every game except senior night. Had a really good kind of coming out season last year. He's back. He's definitely one to watch. Sam Koch has grown a little bit, has really improved his body, put on a lot of strength, is jumping really well, moving a lot better. He's a really good player for us. His older brother, Cooper Koch, if you remember 2 years ago, the first time we came to Jack Tosh, was on the team, had just moved over from Notre Dame. So Sam's a sophomore as well as Brady. A couple of young guys. Gavin Geyer is a kid who missed the entire season last year. He got like a week and a half, 2 weeks of practice. Had some issues medically that he was unable to get over with the whole season. So he did not play a single game last year as a sophomore. We kind of saw him in the mix of the top 7 or 8, and he's gotten a ton better. Is finally healthy and has been helping us out a lot. Hit 5 threes in a game the other day against IVC. So that's definitely a big storyline for us. Something that we didn't know what we would have this year. If Gavin was going to be healthy, how good would he be if he got healthy? And he's back and better than ever.
Great to hear. We're so excited to have you at the Jack Tosh this year, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Have a great day, Coach.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you again to Coach Dame for sitting down with us. Now let's take a listen to Coach Joe Fano's interview with us for the Nazareth Roadrunners. Now, joined here now by Coach Fano of Nazareth. Coach Fano, a first-year coach, you are coming out of being a college coach from St. Mary's in Minnesota. How has the adjustment been from college to high school coaching, and what would you say the key differences are?
Yeah, good question. The biggest difference for me has been a lot less practice. We play 25 games at Division III compared to 30, 31 here at the high school level, and it's been. But you get about 6 to 8 weeks more of practice at the college level, so that was a bit of an adjustment for me. We basically went from 6 to 8 weeks of preparation for a game to basically 10 to 12 days of practice before a game. So that was really the biggest adjustment for me. It was just, more games and a lot less practice.
Okay. You guys come in with a considerably different core compared to last year. What should we know about some of these guys on your team?
Yeah, sure. We got a pretty big group of seniors, led by Drew Highland, Eddie Austin, Sawyer Holstein, Oliver DeSanto. That's really we're not. I guess we're not a young team. We are more of a. We play about six to 8 guys, most of which are seniors, and then we have a sophomore who, unfortunately, Jimmy Connor, got a great player, but has a injured foot, so he's going to be out for a while. So, but those are really our core guys that going into the season.
Are there any storylines or just what are your overall goals for your squad this season, not just leading up to the Tosh, but even after?
Yeah, I mean, me and, coming in new, I just want to compete every day, make sure to be competitive in every game. We'd like to be, 500 team, win a regional down the stretch, compete for, we know our league is really, really good. But we want to be competing and staying in the top half of the league. And then, be ready for the state tournament and, goal is to win a regional and who knows, maybe more than that. But for me, it's just, just being solid, getting better every day. And I tell our guys every day that we want to be playing our best basketball come January, February, and then make a run in the tournament.
Well said, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Really appreciate it. And good luck to you guys this year at the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out. And, good luck to you guys as well. Thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you to Coach Fano for sitting down with us. John, I mean, this is a really interesting day one toss-up. I mean, just, again, looking at Metamora's history, their third year in the tournament, day one last year, they had a struggle against Wheaton North in double overtime. But nonetheless, even with their struggles last year, they were still able to make it to the third-place game and win it on day 5. How do they keep this consistency this year and make it to day 5?
I mean, this game might be one of my favorite storylines. You got a young team and an old team. A very young team from Metamora and more of a well-oiled machine with 44% from the three-point line last year. I think Metamora's just got to do what they did last year. Stay consistent. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at the second matchup here in the South Gym for the second quadrant. It's the Glenbard West Hilltoppers versus the Yorkville Foxes, a very interesting toss-up for sure with some relatively new Tosh teams, this being Yorkville's 4th year in the Tosh, this being Glenbard West's 5th year in the Tosh. Griffin, what's going on with those Hilltoppers?
They started off the year in a little bit of a rough way. They're at 3-5 right now with their record. A lot is falling on Josh Abushinab right now. He's averaging 10 points per game and 5 rebounds last year, and those numbers have skyrocketed up ever since they lost TJ Williams and a couple other graduates. TJ Williams obviously transferring to Bolingbrook, others graduating. This has caused Abushinab's role to be elevated to the starting lineup and maybe even the main player for these Hilltoppers, and I looked for him to make the all-tournament team once again.
We sat down with Coach Apoka of the Glenbard West Hilltoppers to discuss the start that his team has been off to. Joined here now by Coach Apoka of Glenbard West. Glenbard West, a relatively new team to the Tosh, but they come back looking better than ever. Coach Apoka, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Let's start off. You guys handled conference opponent Hinsdale Central. Take us inside that game for a second. What clicked for you guys?
Well, anytime you play a conference game, it's your first conference game on a Friday night. You get excited to play. Being at home was a big positive, but our kids were just locked in. We had a good game plan. And the biggest thing that the Hilltoppers needed was time. We started the season with a bunch of football kids that haven't touched a basketball in a while. So anytime you can get extra practices in, I think we had Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to prepare for the Red Devil. That's always benefits also.
Josh Abushinab is the star of your guys' team. What kind of start is he off to, and what should we know about him?
He's scoring in bunches. He's a college-level basketball player. He can score at all 3 levels. And he impacts the game defensively on the rebounding end also. I believe versus Hinsdale Central, he had 21, 14, and 6 or 7 and a couple of steals. But, we're trying to get him going, trying to get him downhill, but also trying to make him a facilitator because people are going to guard him differently, and he's got to sacrifice some of those points to make others around him better. And he's doing that. He's proven to do that. Last night versus Willowbrook, he had 31. So again, he's been playing great, and he's been really consistent. We're happy with that.
A.J. Rayford transferred to Glenbard West this summer. He played QB for football, and he is now playing basketball for you guys. What should we know about him as a player?
Athletically gifted. He is, he's a Division I football prospect at the quarterback position. And the one thing about him is he's one of those guys where we just need to continue to get him reps and reps and reps because he hasn't touched a basketball in so long. So we as a unit, we got to get him because he's just transferred in, familiarized with our terminology and our system. But, he's only a junior, so we're excited with his productivity.
We just mentioned a couple players. You mentioned how a lot of guys are coming back from football. What are some other players and storylines that we should be aware of to all those who are watching?
Well, we have a ton of Division I potential athletes. Jacob Quintos is a Division I lacrosse player going to Siena. We have Brady Johnson, who is a 6'4" Division I tight end. Of course, we talked about AJ. We talked about Josh. But the senior leader is Chase Caban, and we're putting the ball in his hands. He's making decisions as, a point forward at a 6'1", 6'2" type of kid. But he's been our Swiss Army knife, and we're really happy with Chase. So there's talent. Now we just got to figure it out as a coaching staff how everybody can gel and continue to progress. over time.
Wonderful to hear. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys in the tournament this year.
Thanks so much.
Now let's take a look at these Yorkville Foxes. What do we got on them?
I mean, senior Gabe Sanders averaging 13.5 points per game. This is kind of a newer team like you talked about, but I think Yorkville-Glenbard West is going to be another great game. Both teams that are newer in this game and both teams who have star players that they can really work around.
Yeah, it will also be interesting. I mean, you heard Coach talk in his interview about, this young team that he has. When I sat down with him, I mean, he really mentioned this young nucleus that he has with Braden Porter and Joey Jackson as well, brother of Jason Jackson, who's now playing at U of I, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see how they operate through him. I hear Braden's been off to an amazing start as well as Joey. Zach, I mean, if you're Glenbard West, how are you going to avoid this scare? And this is a pretty even matchup, so I shouldn't say it's a scare from either side, but who do you have coming out of this one, and what does that team need to do?
I really do think GBW has a great chance at winning this game. In my opinion, they just have to really lock down on defense. I know Josh Bushina was a big problem last year on defense, had tons of blocks, tons of steals. If he continues to do that, I think they have a good chance at winning this game.
Now let's take a look at the next game, Highland Park versus St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius off to an 8-0 start, Highland Park 2-7. Let's take a look at this game in even more depth. Zach, what do we have on the Giants?
Highland Park, they're off to a 2-7 start this year. Last year in the Tosh, they did finish 2-2, which is a great record for the Tosh overall. They defeated York in overtime on day 4, 61-59. This is their 12th appearance in the Tosh. They're looking for a good run this year.
We sat down with head coach Ross Deutsch to talk about his squad this year. All right, I'm joined here now by Coach Deutsch of Highland Park. Highland Park returning once again. Strong season last year, going 21-11 and finishing second in conference. Coach Deutsch, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Luca. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. You guys already played 2 Tosh teams in your Thanksgiving tournament in Wheaton North and Walter Payton. You lost to both of them narrowly, but put us inside these 2 games. What worked for you guys, and what do you believe you guys can improve on?
Yeah, well, as you alluded to, we are a new team, as every team is each season. We opened with Wheaton North, which was a tough test for us, given the athleticism and quickness and experience that Wheaton North brought back. We learned a lot playing the game that you can't replicate or simulate in practice. And I thought our guys responded well, in spite of our 21 turnovers, which we gave Wheaton North all the credit for. Against Payton last Saturday, again, 2-point game. You can look at all possessions throughout, and it was a great learning and teaching tool for us that every possession matters. Our guys have grown through their first 6 days, really, of varsity basketball, given the fact that we only returned 1 player who played significant minutes last year, David Isaacson. So very pleased with our juniors and our growth and where we are at this point. In spite of our record, we always say that the record, the scoreboard, is a distraction. We want to continue to do what we do, focus on getting better every day.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about some of the loss that you guys have had, as any high school team does over the years, including guys like Simon Motion, but who are going to be some of the other guys, some of your other main guys this year?
Well, we returned David Isaacson, who's a 3-year player, 2-year starter. Senior Evan Mincer played a bit last year as a junior. Senior Asher Blitz has been starting for us. I'm really pleased with his growth. And our top scorer, junior Gray Canner, who's averaging 25 a game through 4 games, has been a bright spot. His willingness to take shots and his ability to get shots off with range and quick release has been really nice to see. We just got to keep defending and keep rebounding. We're undersized, so we have a gang rebound mentality. And again, we're really looking forward to competing at the Tosh. It's one of the highlights of our season, the premier holiday tournament, or any other tournament for that matter in the state.
Just looking back at your performance last year, after you guys narrowly lost to Conan on day 1, You guys finished 2-2 in the tournament overall. You beat Andrew. You beat York in overtime in an electric game. And you lost to Glenbard West. What are you guys looking to do this year in the tournament?
Again, we never focus on records or wins and losses. I like to quote Kelvin Sampson, who had a viral tweet last week that we've been using, that this time of year, and we think all year, W's and L's don't stand for wins and losses. They stand for wisdom and learning. So, again, we're going to approach our conference begins this evening, and as we look forward to the holiday tournament and the Tosh tournament, we love the fact that we're going to play different types of teams, different style teams. We're the only Central Suburban League team there, so just keep learning, keep getting better, and facing each challenge with the competitive nature that we have and just laying it on the line every possession.
Wisdom and learning. That's a great mentality to have going into the tournament. Thank you so much, Coach, for joining us, and best of luck to you guys this year.
I appreciate it, Luca. Looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks at York for the Tosh.
We look forward to it, too. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you to Coach Deutsch for sitting down with us once again. Now, let's talk about this St. Ignatius Wolfpack. Griffin, they are off to an electric 8-0 start.
As you said, an absolutely electric start for the Wolfpack. 8-0. I don't know if they'll be undefeated for long because they do play number 1 DePaul Prep and number 3 in Illinois Crane before the tournament. But they're definitely one of the heaviest favored teams and maybe one of the greatest Tosh teams of all time. They're ranked currently second in state, 100 wins all time, and they can become just the second team to collect 100 or more wins in the Tosh tournament this year.
Definitely an amazing start for them. I mean, they haven't won the Jack Tosh since 2011, but are looking stronger, more promising than ever. We sat down with St. Ignatius head coach Matt Monroe to talk about his team's start. I'm joined here now by Coach Matt Monroe of St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius, one of the longest consecutive members of the Jack Tosh, looking loaded this year, hoping to take home the title. Coach Monroe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. We're always excited to be a part of one of the best tournaments around.
I love to hear it. Let's jump right in. You guys really raised some eyebrows around the league when you were able to win your Thanksgiving tournament by taking down, at the time, it was number 3 ranked Bennett. Talk a bit about that win. How did you guys pull that one out?
Well, obviously we were excited at the opportunity to play against the defending 4A state champs and such a highly ranked team, but also a program that we regard very, very highly. Coach Heidkamp's a great friend of mine, and we certainly, like to follow all the success that they have. So we knew that it would be a challenge. We knew that we would be in for a really tough game, but our guys rose to the occasion. They shot the ball well. They defended as a team, and they followed the scouting report. And they made big plays. So we were super excited about the way we played. It wasn't necessarily a shock in terms of how well we played because we knew that we would have a really great team. We were just happy that we were able to play at the level that we thought we could against, one of the top opponents around. And, that game could have gone either way, and it was a great high school basketball game, especially early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at your team, it's a pretty interesting roster to look at, and it gels together so well. I mean, you have senior Chris Bolte, who's committed to Yale, and then, you're led at the sophomore level pretty well by Amir Tucker. Talk about a bit about both those players and, what they've been bringing to your team through the beginning of the season.
Yeah, one of the strengths of our team, one of the reasons why we felt that we could have a really great year was because of the people we have on our team. And they have bought into, playing St. Ignatius basketball, but more importantly, bigger than anything else, is they've bought into playing for each other. They're great teammates that have incredible chemistry, and we have really strong leadership across the boat on our team. Chris Bolte, being a senior, committed to going to Yale, extremely talented player. He could do just about everything on the court. But the biggest impact he has is he's just an incredible leader. He sets the tone. He holds his teammates accountable, gives them support when he needs, and he leads by example. And, he does a fantastic job really kind of setting the tone for us. And, Amir, as a sophomore, he did have experience as a freshman on the varsity last year, but he's really thrived coming into a much bigger role. And I think, for him and for Chris and for so many other guys on our team, success for them is not an accident because they put in a lot of time. They go above and beyond what is asked of them. They always are working on their game. They're open to growth, and they're always striving for more. And so I think when you got guys like that, up and down the roster, it makes for a pretty special season.
Yeah, and just looking at the bracket, you guys play Highland Park first round, but after that, you will have to face the winner of Oswego versus Downers South. With those three opponents, how do you plan on handling them?
One of the great things about the Tosh is there's so many incredible teams and storied programs that are in the tournament, fantastic coaches and super talented players. So every single game you get, regardless of who you play or what round it is or what side of the bracket you're on, every single game you play is going to be extremely competitive. As a kid that grew up in Deerfield, playing Highland Park in the first game, that was our rival in high school. So that will be a lot of fun. And regardless of who we see in the next round, we're going to get a quality opponent. So how do we prepare? That's kind of the benefit of being in the Tosh also, is that you have so many different teams that play a variety of styles, and it exposes you to a lot of different game plans that you got to put together. So at the end of the day, we do our best to try to prep for each opponent, regardless of the system of play, and watch a ton of film, and our guys do an awesome job of picking up the scouting report and the game plan.
Just looking at your conference itself, the Chicago Catholic League is looking strong as it always does. You guys play, at the time of this recording, Brother Rice tonight, and then IC Catholic and DePaul Prep. Those are all very, very solid programs. How are you guys preparing for that and using that for the tournament?
Yeah, the Chicago Catholic League, there's so many great conferences out there. I'm a little biased, but I happen to think that the Chicago Catholic League is the best conference in the state. Every single night you play someone, it's going to be a battle. We have a lot of talented players in our league, a lot of great coaches, a lot of programs that, are at the top of the rankings. And on any given night, anyone can beat anyone in our league. It's that competitive. So for us, it's really important that we kind of take the mindset where we just got to focus on what's in front of us. So tonight we got Brother Rice, and we have tunnel vision. The only thing we're focusing on right now is competing to beat Brother Rice. And as soon as the game's over, now we start our prep for IC Catholic, because, again, they got a fantastic coach, great players, an awesome program. And so we're going to do everything we can to prepare the next 2 days of practice for them. And then once we're done there, on to DePaul. So I think in our league, it's really important that you just focus on what's in front of you, because, again, every single team you play is going to be a battle, and you got to give their program the time and attention and respect they deserve in terms of putting together your game plan and prepping for that opponent. So we just take it day by day. We watch a ton of film and certainly try to put in our plans at practice. But, again, we really just focus on the next task at hand.
One game at a time mentality. Well said, Coach. Just looking at your roster as a whole and looking back to that Bennett win again, you guys really shot well from three. Who are some of those, top-tier three-point shooters on your team that were able to lead you through that game?
One of the really cool things about our team is that we have a lot of depth and a lot of kids that are extremely skilled. So, if you've been following our games, every day there's kind of been a new guy that has stepped up and played a big role. For example, against Marmion, Chris Chitterow had 19 points and hit 4 threes. Against Whitney Young on Saturday, Duke Ross was 4 for 4 from 3 and grabbed a bunch of rebounds. A couple days before that, we had DJ Caldwell scoring, a bunch of points and hitting outside shots. Amir Tucker and Chris Bolte and, Nico Harris at point has been extremely steady for us in so many different ways. And we got a ton of other, incredible options off the bench. I know I'm going to miss someone, but, Walker Ross is an outside shooter. That's fantastic. Will Walsh, Jackson Congdon. And then we have some bigger guys that are skilled off the bench, like Chase Honore, Billy Reagan, and Cole Turner. So we feel, Palmer Wong off the bench, a great shooter too. We feel like we got a lot of depth, and, our team is in the spot where their main goal is to win. And so, people are willing to step into whatever role that requires of them, but we also understand that anyone on this roster can have a big game, just kind of depending on a given day.
Well said, Coach. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys leading up to the tournament, and best of luck to you in the tournament this year.
Yeah, thanks a ton. Like you said, we're one of the longest standing programs at the Tosh, and we're looking forward to another great year. You guys do an awesome job, and it's the best tournament around, so we can't wait.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Coach. Have a good rest of your day. Good luck against Brother Rice tonight. Now let's take a look at the last game of this quadrant. It's Oswego versus Downers South, a very interesting matchup to take a look at. What do we have on the Oswego Panthers?
Oswego comes in 4-4, an even record here. But honestly, I want you guys to look out for Ethan Val, one of the highest-ranked sophomore guards in the region. So he's going to be a player that you're going to see and hear a lot about. I'm gonna be surprised on what Oswego does after this day.
Yeah, I mean, he's been off to an amazing start this season. There's so much buzz around his name. He's definitely been a big attraction for this team. But we talked a bit about the team as a whole with head coach Nick Oraham of the Oswego Panthers. Joined here by Coach Oraham of Oswego. Oswego returning to the Jack Tosh, have not made an appearance since 2017, but are coming back and looking strong. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us.
Yeah, no problem, Luca. Excited to be here.
All right, let's jump right in. You guys come in 3-1, only losing to Neuqua Valley on the third day of the Thanksgiving tournament. But you beat two solid teams in West Aurora and in Rockford Guilford by slim margins. What kind of preparation did all these tough games give you?
Yeah, we hosted a really tough Thanksgiving tournament, right? And for us personally, we're down 2 starters because of football. They just took second in the 8A state championship, and then missing another key rotational piece as well. So really down 3 guys. Had another guy injured that would have taken their spot starting. So we were down 4 of our top 8. So I think to get out to a quick start at 3-1 and then slowly integrating these guys back into our lineup is pretty key for us. The kids understand that, beating a team like West Aurora is someone that's in our sectional, is big for later on down the road, just because we have a pretty difficult conference schedule, and theirs is not as difficult or complicated as ours is. So that could have some seeding impacts down the line, but then also, just for this tournament, right, and how it's seeded and stuff like that, getting off to a good start, even though we are shorthanded, provides us an opportunity to perhaps get a better seed here that will impact our path moving forward in the tournament.
Sophomore Ethan Val is the star of the show for you guys, for sure. He is one of the top combo guards not only in the state, but in the country. He's on track to hit 1,000 points this season. He had 31 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals against Plainfield Central. How are you not only developing him, but making him a competitive piece for your team?
I mean, yeah, Ethan. I think Ethan is the centerpiece of what we do. There's times where he's able to take over a basketball game, but then there's also times where he, passes and gets teammates involved and kind of deflects a little bit. He's becoming more engaged defensively. We're kind of holding him to a higher standard than we did last year. But yeah, I think we've got some good surrounding pieces with Ethan. I mean, we're young, Luca. We're starting 3 sophomores, Ethan being one of them. We're starting a junior and a senior right now. So, we're going to get better as the year goes on and continue to practice and work hard every day, and just kind of see how things will shake out come January and February.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those sophomores. You currently have the tallest rostered player in the Jack Tosh with 6'11" sophomore Cole Janssens. What game is he providing on the floor?
You know what? He's been a rebounding machine. Not sure what we were going to get out of Cole. This summer came off the bench for us and did some nice things, but nothing wasn't a consistent rebounder or a consistent finisher. Right now, he's dunking everything. Averaging a dunk a game right now. It's probably going to get up as he gets more accustomed to what we're doing. He's 6'11". He moves really well for his size. He could step out and shoot the 3. Working on consistency with that. He's pretty good. He kind of anchors what we do defensively. plays off the ball really well, kind of learning the physical aspect of the game and the speed of a varsity basketball game. But you can't teach and build them 6'11" all the time. So, we're lucky to have Cole. We're lucky that he's only a sophomore and he's got a couple more years to continue to grow under us.
You guys are in the Southwest Prairie Conference, which is one of, if not the toughest conference for basketball in Illinois. You guys had a 4-12 record in conference last year. Do you guys believe you can improve on that this year?
Yeah, I think we really should. I think we've got the keys. Sorry. All right. Luca, our conference is really tough, I think. I would put it probably a notch below the CCL. But I think it's one of the better ones in the state for sure. And we play one of the top teams in Bolingbrook today at their place. I think it's a good opportunity for our guys to get better and seeing better competition on a day in and day out basis. What else did you ask about that? I'm sorry. Oh, improve on our record. Yeah, I think we should improve on our record, right? Our guys have gotten a little bit better. We're already 1-0 in conference. Mm-hmm. Plus last year, 4-12, but we were really young last year. Started a freshman. It was my first year, so kind of getting things integrated and stuff like that. We've talked about we want to be a little bit better than 500 this year in conference, and I think getting off to a fast start once we get these football guys back is going to be key. Tough little stretch coming up here. Bolingbrook tonight, Joliet West on Tuesday, Friday Yorkville, Saturday, I know it's not conference, but Waubonsie Valley. That's a pretty tough stretch of games for any team. Just hoping to come out of that at least 500 or better.
That's quite the goal. You guys, like I said in the beginning, were last in the Tosh in 2017, but now you return with one of the most intriguing teams in the tournament. You did mention you have 4 of your 8 out right now, and you're waiting for football guys to come back. But what would you say your ultimate goal for the Tosh is this year?
You know what? We want to play on the right side of the bracket. So I think that's key for us. That means winning your first game and then kind of just seeing how things shake out from there. I think it's good for our guys, especially some of these younger guys that have aspirations of playing in college, to be seen by college coaches and create a little bit buzz. And I think no better time and place than one of the best holiday tournaments in the Midwest.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time out of your day to join us. Good luck to you guys through the tournament.
All right. Thanks, Luca. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you again to Coach Orham for sitting down with us. Now let's take a look at the Downer South Mustangs, a very interesting team starting at 5-2.
Yeah, great record to start off the season. Last year they finished 3-2 in the tourney for the Tosh. Unfortunately, they lost in the Consolation Championship. Last time they did appear in the regular championship, they won it back in 2010, and they're looking for their best player, Flowers. He's back this year, and he's averaging 17 points per game.
Adam Flowers just hit his 1,000th career point. We sat down with head coach Zach Miller to discuss his team's hot start. Joined here now by Coach Miller of Downers Grove South, returning for yet another year of Tosh. Made an appearance on day 5 last year, so a strong showing. They're looking to top it again. Coach Miller, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys do about as good a job as anybody with everything. You guys are buttoned up from the stats to the hospitality to obviously the gameplay and the coverage. It's a treat for players, coaches, just programs. It's awesome.
We appreciate all the kudos. Thank you, Coach. Let's jump right in. Adam Flowers just reached his 1,000th career point. What kind of game will he be bringing to you guys as the number 1 option for your team?
I think, everybody sees what he does scoring-wise, right? He's averaging, close to 22 points through 6 games, and that's with a goose egg in there where he had 10 rebounds and 10 assists, right? And so his average is obviously up, but it's his efficiency. He's over 40% from the field, so he's not chucking, right? He's not forcing. He's kind of just playing at his own pace and letting the game come to him and kind of giving it what it needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's just he's dynamic offensively, off the bounce, getting into the paint. He's just relentless in that regards, and that he's guys are finding ways to get open around him and knocking some shots down too, which is just creating more space for us offensively.
By far the most notable game you guys have played is the overtime loss you guys had against Lincoln Park. Put us inside that game. How did you take that one into extra time?
Well, I don't really like to bring that. That's like opening up bad wounds. We were up 8 with about 3 left, and just kind of, finding early on, and we're still finding ways to close games out, right, and learning how to win is tough. And with our schedule so far, that's we've had some tough teams, and so that's kind of where we're at right now. And I think it was a great learning experience for our guys, playing with the shot clock, understanding what's a good shot, bad shot, but the experience, being able to reference that game, and what it takes possession by possession, and how everything there's no such thing as a little thing in those games. And I think that was what we really took away from that, and kind of showed the guys like what we need to do and how little that gap is right now for us to kind of be, one of the best teams.
Another pretty notable name you guys return is Sean Day. What kind of start has he been off to this season?
He's just a stat sheet stuffer so far. I think early on in his career, he thought of himself as just a shooter, and while we were preaching that he's more than that, I think he's finally realizing how much he impacts winning on both ends. He's just a great defender, both off the ball, on the ball, and his IQ on both ends, right? His passing and shooting obviously are things that pop on film or when you come see him play, but I think it's a lot of those little things that people don't realize, but coaches see it, is just how he impacts our team on both ends. And he doesn't get tired. We ask so much of him to do things, guarding the best players, being able to facilitate and score on the offensive end, and he's continuing wanting more and just wants to win.
You guys saw Day 5 last year in the Constellation Championship, like we mentioned in the beginning. How are you guys going to get back to Day 5 this year?
Hopefully, Coach Doran and the committee give us a good draw. Mm-hmm. That'll be one thing. But I think, there's, joking aside, there's not really necessarily like an easy draw at the Tosh, right? You're kind of your first game's obviously going to be super tough, and then win or lose, you kind of get put where you belong, I always feel. And I think at the Tosh, to be successful, it's defensively, right? The turnaround time is so quick that if you can, hold to your standards and what you do on a day-to-day, I think at a tournament like that, or where you're playing, 4 straight days, 5 straight days, whatever it is, those are the things come to light. And so I think if defensively we can kind of maintain our principles, that's going to keep you in ball games, hopefully for 5 days, and then letting some of your horses kind of make plays there at the end to take you over the top.
Sounds like great strategy, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us.
No, I appreciate you guys, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. I think this is a pretty interesting game to look at as a whole, Griffin. I mean, there's definitely some ramifications for this. These are 2 incredible teams. What kind of effects does this game have on the tournament?
You know what? It's kind of a unique matchup here because whoever wins this game, I think they can go far in the tournament. But whoever loses it, I believe, will be the Constellation Bracket tournament. Last year, the Mustangs lost Day 1 but ended up placing second in the Constellation Bracket. If they do lose again, they'll look to do the same and have a different outcome on Day 5. Well, Oswego, they returned to the tournament after having participated in a 32 version back in 2014 until 2017. They're back now, and they're trying to have a better Tosh experience. But if they're unable to win this day one game, I think they can go far in the consolation bracket. So I think this game is not more about the winner, it's more about the loser and how they can be successful in the consolation bracket.
Interesting perspective to look at it from that way. That wraps up the second quadrant and all games in the South Gym, third quadrant, and start of the main gym coming your way after this. Let's take a look at this first game in the third quadrant. It's a new team in South Elgin returning to the Tosh after a long break, but it's a familiar face that they are taking on in Lyons Township. Let's talk a bit about this matchup.
As you said, it's their first time in the tournament since 2011. You know, they've had a long break from it, and I don't know if this is going to be their strongest comeback they could have. Right now, they're standing at 2-6. Obviously, not the record you want to have. I think they're playing better than what their record shows. But going up against this formidable Lyons team, I don't think they can go very far in the tournament.
Lyons Township knocking on the door, threatening this new South Elgin team. John, it's a pretty interesting roster to look at.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about Owen Carroll. He's a face, a name that we heard a lot last year, coming off the bench, averaging 8.8 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game. And that team last year did knock off St. Lawrence in the first day. So this team will definitely be something to go against. South Elgin may have it, I will not lie.
Interesting perspective there. We sat down with head coach Tom Sloan of the Lyons Township Lions to discuss his team's 6-1 start. Joined here over phone by Coach Sloan of Lyons Township. Lyons Township, one of the most highly favored teams coming into this year's Jack Tosh. Coach Sloan, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in. You guys have a very mixed team this year when you talk about kids like Timmy Sloan and both Owen Carroll. Both two very different players, but played a crucial role for you guys last year as you were able to upset St. Lawrence on day one. Talk a bit about both those kids and what roles they are playing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Owen and Timmy are the two guys that we have coming back that have varsity basketball experience as far as actual real playing time in competitive games, throughout the entire season last year. So they are, kind of the leaders in that sense. They're the ones that know what it takes to be successful in varsity game competition. And so that's not a ton of real experience coming back, but we also have, a good number of other players, whether they're seniors, juniors, or sophomores, that are very competitive kids. And, they've played a lot of basketball, and many of them have played pretty competitively in the off season. So they've experienced some pretty good basketball themselves. So we have as you said, a nice mix of guys with experience and without, but a nice mix of age group and, really good chemistry and guys that enjoy playing together and unselfish and play really hard. So, I enjoy working with them and the kids enjoying playing together.
You guys have had an absolutely incredible start in the beginning of this season, winning out at your Thanksgiving tournament, taking down Maine South, Proviso East, and Waubonsie Valley. So you guys are really keeping a nice streak. You guys play Hinsdale Central the night of this recording. How are you guys looking to keep all this alive? Obviously, you have some tough conference play leading up before the tournament. How do you guys plan on keeping this consistency? Yeah, I mean, we try not to get ahead of ourselves. Pretty much what I'm going to say is cliche. We try not to get ahead of ourselves as far as the game that we have coming up is the one that we're focusing on. And so, as you said, we have Hinsdale Central tonight, which, as far as Lyons Township, Hinsdale Central, it doesn't get much bigger than that for the kids in the building and the kids in the program. So that's our main focus right now. But on a day-to-day basis in practice, the guys just are trying to execute each drill that we run as well as possible, and focus on the task at hand. And then, tonight when we play Hinsdale, we're going to try to share the ball with one another and run good stuff offensively, pass, catch, make open shots when we have them. And on the defensive end, take away easy stuff, force Hinsdale and whoever the other opponents are that we play to
to make tough shots and don't give them anything easy on their offensive glass. So we need to rebound well and handle pressure and be tough. And, it's literally a possession by possession deal in practice and in games. And, and then when you look back at the end of the season, hopefully they did things well enough to have had a lot of success.
You guys are obviously a conference opponent of the hosts of York. Nonetheless, this is still your 23rd appearance at the Jack Tosh. Obviously, with some of those ties, you guys have stayed in here for a long time. You have not won the title since 2009. How do you guys plan on getting to day 5 this year and or winning the title?
That's a pretty loaded question. I mean, I need to find out about South Elgin before we do anything else. But the tournament is such a great event. We as you said, Lyons Township won the tournament when it was a 16-team tournament, we made it to the championship game the following year and lost an overtime game. And then since it's gone 32, we've made it to the finals twice and semifinals a few times, and had a lot of success. It's just, if you want to win a 32-team tournament, it's like winning a super sectional in the state playoffs, and the competition is very high. Every year it seems like there are multiple teams in the event that win a sectional or win a super sectional and get downstate. We've had a couple of years where there were multiple state trophy winners during the playoffs playing in the same York tournament, the Tosh, and so to talk about what we need to do to win 5 days in a row, you basically got to be good enough to win a super sectional and get downstate. That's basically what it takes. And in order to do that, you need really competitive kids, and you need I already said some of these things, but unselfishness and just the grit to be able to play 5 games in 6 days, hopefully, but not to get ahead of yourselves. You gotta take one game at a time, and that's how we always focus. I really haven't looked at the bracket past the fact that we play South Elgin on the first day at 9 a.m. So, our first goal is, as far as that goes, is going to be, to get ourselves as prepared as we can be to play that game. And then whichever team we face the next day, we'll prepare for them and hopefully come out and play well the second day.
Very well said, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys leading up to the Tosh and in the tournament this year.
Thanks, Luca. I appreciate your time. You guys always do a great job.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you so much again to Coach Sloan for sitting down with us. Now let's take a look at this from just a wide perspective. I mean, South Elgin returning to the tournament after a long hiatus. How do they slow down this Lyons Township team and make a name for themselves on day 1?
They got to focus on the defense. They got to stop Carroll, and they got to stop Sloan. They're 2 great scorers, and currently they're 6-1. So if they want to do that, they got to have good defense.
We have another matchup again with a longtime Tosh team in Fenwick and a new team in the Perspectives Leadership Warriors. This such an interesting day 1 matchup once again. Let's start with the Friars. John, what do we have on them?
Well, I will say last year they had a very impressive run, did lose to Bolingbrook in the championship, but they also lost something else, a lot of seniors. They do have juniors Jimmy Watts and Jake Thies, who will come off the bench this year. And it's a younger team. I don't know if they're going to have it in them, but you got to talk about Coach David Ferguson, who is just one of those coaches who knows how to move his players around very well.
Interesting rotation he runs. He ran a 10 to 11-man rotation in every single Tosh game he coached last year, so we'll see what he can do. But for the Perspectives Warriors, head coach Justin Rhymes brings in an interesting nucleus to look at, Zach.
Definitely. They got a great lineup. They're 5-3 to start out the season. This is their only second appearance ever in the Jack Tosh. Only the first one since the 32-team version has started. The last time they were in the Tosh, they finished 1-3, but since then, it's been a long time. This team, very excited to see them play.
We sat down with head coach Justin Rhymes of the Perspective Warriors to talk about his ball team this year. I'm joined here now by Coach Justin Rhymes of Perspectives. Perspectives, a new face to the Jack Tosh, have not made an appearance since 2011. Coach Rhymes, this is your second year of coaching at Perspectives. Before this, You were at Solorio. How did the past season go with Perspectives, and how is this year going for you guys?
So last year, I believe we finished 18-9 overall in my first year there. And this year I think we're 5-3. We dropped a couple games that we should have won, but I do like my team a lot. I think we have a good chance to surprise some people towards the end of the season. We have about, honestly, 6 impactful transfers. So I think that's, that has a lot to do with kind of like the ups and downs right now that we're experiencing early. But I think we'll be a much better team towards the end of the season. But I'm very excited to be back in Jack Tosh. This is my second stint. I was there with Solario, and then I was the associate head coach at Riverside Brookfield before I took over Perspective. So honestly speaking, I've been in Jack Tosh for maybe 5 out of the last 6 years or so.
Amazing to hear. And I mean, just looking at your guys' schedule, you did play in the Chicago League Classic. You played Crane Medical. You did beat them 60-57. It's not a tournament, but it's still one of the most coveted shootouts that happen. What was that experience like for your guys to play in that?
It was a great experience. This is we played in it last year as well, and won and came out victorious, and we played in it this year. So it's a great experience. I mean, playing on a college court at a Division I school. Some kids, honestly, in high school, may never get to experience playing on a Division I court. So having them experience that was really big for our program, and we're excited to see if we can continue being in the Chicago Leader Classic.
Excellent. And just looking at the CPL from abroad this year, they did make a big change, deciding to restructure conferences, not based on school size, but more the proximity of schools to each other. What change does that entail for Perspectives?
So, last year they kind of went to this only 2 red conferences, and it was like one was like a super mega red, and the other one was like looked at the second tier to it, I guess. But this year they went back to Red Central, South, North, and West, and we're in a Red Central, and in my opinion, that is the toughest red conference out of all of the 4. So it's a gauntlet. Like every single game, you're going to get another team's best shot. So you have to be ready, and I think it's pretty good. It's a great competition for our guys, and we have one of the, if arguably not the toughest schedule in school history, but we have a really tough schedule this year. So, our guys are up for the challenge, and we're looking to just win as many games as possible.
You were talking in the beginning of the interview, all those impact transfers that you guys have. I mean, just to name a few, Morgan Travis, Xavier Porter, Jaden Taylor, those guys have been putting on great production for you and have been big additions, obviously. Why do you believe that people want to go to Perspectives Leadership and Technology and play for your program? And talk a bit about what all these transfers have brought for your team at the same time.
Yeah, well, to speak on the 3 that you named in particular, Xavier actually, unfortunately, had an injury Saturday, so he'll be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But he is extremely impactful for us. He's kind of like our X factor, no pun intended. But and then Jaden Taylor is our point guard. Morgan Travis is our point combo guard type. So those 3 players are extremely impactful for us. I think a lot of guys do want to come to Perspectives. One, we offer a lot of things outside of just athletics. But 2, being able to play in the Red Central, being able to be a part of something special. I think it's a lot of opportunity at Perspectives for players to really make a name for themselves and stand out instead of potentially going somewhere else where they may just be another name. And I think that's been important for some of the guys that's transferred in, and we're just trying to make the best of it.
The bracket is out now, Coach, and you guys are set to take on Fenwick on day 1, a pretty tough opponent. Should be an amazing game. What is your strategy going into that one?
Well, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to guard. We're going to do, stick to our principles. We haven't gotten too in depth with Fenwick and how we're going to in particularly guard them. But we're going to do what we do best. We'll be a little short-handed, losing Xavier, which is a big piece and plays a lot of minutes for us. But we're going to compete hard. We know Fenwick is going to be a good team that's going to compete hard as well. So our goal is to win as many games as we can in York, and do what we do.
Awesome. Love to hear it. We cannot wait to see you guys at the tournament this year. Thank you so much, Coach Rhymes, for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us, and best of luck to you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, too.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye. You heard in that interview from Coach Rhymes, Xavier Porter is now out with an injury, and, that's a big loss for them. So, Griffin, if you are the Perspectives Warriors, how are you tapping into your other players, and who are you tapping into?
I think you really just got to focus in on your new transfers. Jaden Taylor specifically, I think you give the rock to him. You let him go and score and carry your offensive load and let the team play behind him. Let him step up into that leadership role and really push this Perspectives team deep into the tournament.
Transferred late in the game, start of this school year from Christian Fenger Academy, an interesting addition for them. Let's take a look at the next matchup. Two longtime Jack Tosh members in Glenbard North and Conant. Glenbard North Panthers off to a great start. John, what do we have on them?
You got to talk about the Panthers' two junior and senior players. Lamar Carpenter with 11 points per game and senior Matt Wells with 8.3. This team is going to have their 29th appearance. Went 2-2 last year. I think they have a lot of strength in this team to go a little bit farther than just a 2-2 record.
Meanwhile, for the Conant Cougars, the longest consecutive members of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, excluding the host team in York. Griffin, what are we looking at for this team this year?
Obviously, you said they're one of the longest members in the Jack Tosh. They're a 6-time championship, and they're looking to do the same here. Right now, with the way the season has started out, I don't know if they can do the same this year. I think if you're the Conant Cougars, I think you take it one game at a time. You kind of go on a Fenwick-esque run like they did last year. Just focus on the game you're about to play. Don't try to play matchup. If the person wins this game, then we play them. Just focus on who you're matched up against and progressing into this tournament.
We sat down with head coach Greg Grana to talk about his team this year. Joined here now by Coach Grana of Conant. Conant, the longest consecutive member of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, excluding York, entering their 38th year. Coach Grana, thank you so much for once again returning to the Tosh, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us.
Thank you so much for having me and having us back at the Tosh, the best holiday tournament around.
Let's get right into it. You guys started off the season hot, taking down some solid CPL squads in Sen and Jones and taking down a private powerhouse in Notre Dame. What kind of experience did all those games give you guys?
Yeah, we were in the Glenbrook North Thanksgiving tournament, really well-run tournament, which is good practice for us going into the season. We have a tough conference schedule, like a lot of teams do in our area. It's just great basketball. Good experience for an inexperienced team. We returned 8 minutes from last year, so anytime that we get to play really quality teams like those that are on our schedule, it's just good for us moving forward.
Absolutely. You were talking about that conference schedule. Definitely had that written down. It's no secret that you guys are in one of the toughest basketball conferences in the state of Illinois. How are these games preparing you guys for the tournament specifically?
Yeah, every single conference matchup for us is a tough one. It's a high-energy, physical basketball game. That's really the style that we like to play. I think that it lends, well or in a positive light for when we play teams in the state series, as well as when we have non-conference games with quick turnarounds that we got to get ready for. We kind of lean on our physicality and our toughness as the backbone of what we do.
Like we said in the beginning, you guys are the longest consecutive members of the Tosh, obviously excluding York, coming back to your 38th year. What has made the tournament so enjoyable for you guys that you guys decide to return year after year?
Really what it is, it's all about the people. And York has such incredible people that run the tournament with incredible teams and incredible coaches. And it's such a professional run event that you won't find us turning it away anytime soon. It's such an incredible week and weekend, and it's the best time of the year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach, for once again returning, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys this year in the tournament.
Thank you so much, and see you in a few weeks.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Have a good day.
Have a good one. You too.
Thank you again to Coach Grana for sitting down with us. But talking about Glenbard North again, I mean, they definitely have the better record than Conant. But, Zach, how specifically are they going to be able to pull this game out?
If they want to pull this game out, they got to feed the ball to Carpenter, one of the best scorers on the team, currently averaging 11 points per game, alongside Matt Welch, another senior who's averaging 8.3. Those two got great chemistry together. I'm excited to see them play.
Let's take a look into this next matchup in the main gym. It is St. Francis versus Lamont, the last game here in the third quadrant. Zach, I mean, this is an interesting St. Francis team, most definitely.
This team off to a great start this year, 3-4. Last year, they won their first matchup of the Jack Tosh and then went on to lose their next three. You have Salagi and Hosian, great seniors on this team, alongside the 8 others.
Yeah, 2 excellent three-point shooters for this team. Now, meanwhile, looking at Lamont, it's definitely a different look for this team, Griffin.
Lamont, definitely, like you said, a different look. They come into the tournament right now standing at 6-2. There's some new faces for Lamont. They're definitely a younger team. Junior Zane Schneider will be making his 3rd appearance on the varsity team this year. So 3-year varsity player out of junior. That is great to see, and I expect him to have a great Jack Tosh tournament this year.
And that is the final matchup of the third quadrant of this year's Jack Tosh. When we come back, we will have the start of the fourth quadrant coming your way. Now let's take a look at the start of this fourth quadrant. First, it is Westinghouse versus St. Pat's. Westinghouse, their first ever appearance in the Jack Tosh, one of these new CPL teams coming in. Griff, what do we have on the Warriors?
Like you said, it's their first year in the Tosh, so they're definitely trying to make a name for themselves. And I'm expecting the biggest impact to come from their 2 seniors, Jacob Brown and Nasir Fields. They lead the team in all facets of the game, and I'm expecting them to play well and lead this Westinghouse team through the Tosh.
2 very interesting players, and they're a great perimeter shooting team as well. John and I actually watched one of their games as they took on the St. Ignatius Wolfpack in their season opener, and they definitely have some three-point threats. So an interesting team to look out for, definitely on the low, but they are going to have to get past the St. Patrick's Shamrocks. Ranked 13th, off to a 7-0 start. Zach, what do we have on them?
Like you said, 7-0 start, one of the better teams in the state and in this tournament overall. Last time that they placed pretty farly in the tournament, they placed second back all the way back in 2016. Last year they finished 2-2 in the tournament, but they got some nice players. Senior guard Maurice Neely is one player to look out for who's returning from that last year's roster.
We sat down with head coach Mike Bailey to talk about his ball squad this year. Joined here over phone now by Coach Bailey of St. Pat's. St. Pat's, one of the longest consecutive members of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, looking for their first championship this year. They are looking stronger than ever, off to a 6-0 start. Coach Bailey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Hey, whenever Vince Doran and Mike Dunn have a tournament, we are in. Count us in.
Awesome. Love to hear it. We were just talking about that 6-0 start. You guys have taken down Dyett, Peyton, a Tosh talent, Naperville North, another Tosh team in Wheaton North, Notre Dame, and what is one of the biggest rivalries in the state, as we know, and Deerfield, who at the time was ranked by Michael O'Brien. What has clicked for you guys, and how are you off to such a hot start?
Yeah, Luca, listen, I really believe in our team. I really like our group that we have. I think we've been battle tested over from last year into this year. We have a lot of experience coming back. I think we have 4 players that played pretty heavily in our rotation last year, our team that went downstate. And then our junior class, they worked 50-2 their freshman and sophomore year. So I think we have some good players. I don't know if we necessarily have a superstar player, but I think we have a very balanced team and a team that really plays well together.
Yeah, you were talking about it. I mean, with your team, you guys graduated the top 4 scorers from last year's tournament alone, but a name that has really drawn a lot of attention is Maurice Neely. He's really risen up for you guys and been a big factor. What has he been doing for you guys thus far this season?
Well, I think as much as he does for us on the court, I think it's what he does for us off the court, too. He's probably one of the best leaders that we've had in our basketball program, and, he's president of our student council, and just a really great influence around our school. And then on the court, he played a lot for us last year in our state tournament run, and he's just an aggressive player who plays with his heart for St. Patrick High School. He's kind of a slasher type. He plays bigger than what his size is. He's a tremendous defensive player, and he's just a really good all-around high school basketball player.
Some other guys who you return are four-year starter R.J. McPartland, big man Omar, and guard Stephen Quach. What individual game do they bring to the floor?
Yeah, so R.J. was a very integral player for us for the last 3 years. Last year, he tore his labrum in the summer, heading into last season, and he really didn't play for us until we got to January. And he was a key part of our state tournament run. Once we got him back in the fold, our team really kind of took off. He's a little bit of your traditional big man player. He kind of plays with his back to the basket, has really good footwork and hand education around the rim, and he's improved his game out on the perimeter. So he's, I think, one of the top big men, if you would say, really in the Chicagoland area. And then Omar and Steve both played major roles for us last year, coming off the bench. Before RJ got hurt last year, Omar started probably about 15 games for us last season as a sophomore. And Steve has just been a true point guard type for us. He's made leaps and bounds off his season last year. So we're very impressed by his start this season. And then, look, we have another kid by the name of Joe Costanzo. He's our fifth starter. He would have been in our rotation last year as a junior. He broke his foot at the end of the football season and really didn't come back to basketball until like February. And, by that time we were kind of set on what our rotation was. So those are five battle-tested, experienced players that we have who kind of lead our team.
You guys finished 2-2 last year in the tournament at 500. Do you guys believe that you can improve from that this year? Obviously, you guys are ranked very highly by Aaron Britton and Michael O'Brien, so you definitely have the background for it, but do you guys truly think that you can improve on that this year?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've had some pretty good success over the years. I think we played for the championship 1 year. I know we did. We lost to Conan in the championship game. I think we played for the consolation championship maybe once or twice. So we've had a lot of years where we've gone, 3-1 in the tournament. So we've had some success. I think what happens a little bit in a Christmas tournament, especially as well balanced as the York tournament is every year, if you're not playing at a good level or a really good level, that week, you're going to get beat by some good basketball teams. So I think a lot of it is, we always say the season is a marathon, the York Christmas tournament is a sprint. If you need to be playing good, solid basketball, and maybe sometimes great basketball in order to advance in the Tosh. If your team isn't hitting on all cylinders, those games kind of pile up on you pretty quickly.
Well said, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. We're so excited to have you back in the tournament and to see what your squad can do.
Luca, thanks for thinking about St. Pat's and reaching out, and we'll see you guys during Christmas week, okay?
Of course. Good luck to you guys.
Thanks, boys. Yep.
Bye-bye. Thank you again to Coach Bailey for sitting down with us. I mean, St. Pat's one of the longest members of the Jack Tosh. Their record 27-20 in the tournament. But, I mean, Westinghouse, their first year in the tournament. John, how do you pull off the impossible here if you are the Warriors?
You got an underdog in Westinghouse, a new team, not really everybody knows about, but then you have St. Patrick's 7-0. I'm going to talk about this again. The shooting from Westinghouse is proficient. They know how to throw the ball around, get it into the net, but St. Patrick's has an elite defense. What you got to do is just stick to your shooting form. That's all I'm going to say.
An interesting matchup for sure. We will see if they can pull off the impossible. We have certainly seen crazier in this time of this tournament. Now let's take a look at this next matchup. It is Lake Zurich versus Rolling Meadows. Lake Zurich, their second year in the Jack Tosh. They start off this season 4-5. John, what do we have on them?
Well, Lake Zurich has a team full of talent. You got Kane Kretschmar, all-tournament team last year, 14.2 points per game. Evan Peterson is out with his injury, but he averaged 7 points per game, and Adrian Reep, 10.2 points per game, and Tyler Reed from 60% from the three. The Bears, they come in very talented. This was their first year last year, and they lost to Fenwick in the Final Four, so I'm going to have to say that Lake Zurich takes this game.
They made it to day 5 in their first ever appearance of the Jack Tosh, had an absolutely electric Cinderella run. Now for the Rolling Meadows Mustangs, champions of 2022. An interesting roster this year as they've graduated Ian Milicic.
Like you said, won in 2022, and you know what? I hate to say it. At a 5-2 record, they haven't lived up to expectations. Typically, that's something crazy to say, but if you're a team like Rolling Meadows and you've had so much historic success in the last couple of years, you would expect more than 5-2. I understand that Kevin Katovich, head coach, lost a bunch of his seniors, especially, as you said, even Milicic. But I think Rolling Meadows needs to bounce back here right before the Tosh, really figure out their new identity as they've graduated their most crucial players.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at from a perspective, and especially, we heard Coach Grana talk about it in his interview with that MSL conference realignment. It has been pretty tough for them in the beginning of the season playing all these conference opponents, but still, they definitely can do something in this tournament. They turn up every single time we see them here in the main gym. And coming up after that in the main gym will be Andrew versus Riverside Brookfield. Andrew starting off 3-5. Riverside Brookfield starting off 6-2. Griffin, what do we have on the Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts, they come into this tournament right now as of taping, standing at 3-5 here. This is their 8th appearance in the Tosh, coming off a 1-3 finish last year. They're definitely looking to improve upon what they did last year, going 1-3. This year they got a lot of new faces, junior Ryan Denon and Malik Muhammad. Malik Muhammad is a big player I'm watching for this tournament. He was only averaging 6 points per game last year. I'm expecting him to make a big leap in his junior year.
We sat down with head coach Justin Stern to talk about his team's 3-5 start and what they're going to be looking like coming into this tournament. And joined here now by Coach Stern of Andrew. Andrew, one of the Jack Tosh's longest-running members. Coach Stern, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Let's jump right in. You guys start off the season around 500. However, Ryan Denon has not played for you guys yet. He's been out injured. How will he positively impact your team, assuming he's available by the time the tournament starts?
Yeah, he missed our last game. I think he's going to be out this Friday, and then, we're going to kind of reevaluate where we're at next week. So missing a player like him, who's your leading scorer and leading rebounder going into a tournament like the Tosh, is obviously not what you're looking for. But, trying to pull the positive out of everything, we got guys that are now playing in roles where they're being asked to do things that maybe they weren't asked to do before. And so it's a bit of a learning experience, but I think in some ways in the long run, it's going to help us because guys are going to have that experience of doing things that they might not have otherwise been asked to do.
You guys finished the last tournament 1-3 with a very tough schedule, I should mention. You only lost by 5 in 2 of those games and beat Stag on day 4. What is the strategy coming into this year?
Yeah, like our last 2 years, I think right now the biggest thing is get out of there healthy. Fingers crossed the last 2 years. 2 years ago, Grant Silkaitis, our best player at the time, went down with an injury like 3 minutes into our second game. And then last year, Borchers in the last game versus Stag in the morning tore his ACL. So the last 2 years we haven't come out of there healthy. So coming out of the tournament healthy is probably priority number one. But as it pertains to, the teams we're going to see, that's the fun of a tournament like the Tosh is, there's a lot of teams that are really, really good. So you got to be prepared for everything. So kids got to be coachable. We got to be able to do things on the fly. So just be able to adapt to whoever our opponents are going to be. You're going to see a lot of different styles ranging from full court, pick you up man to man, pack it in, half court, 1-2-2. You're going to see everything. So you just got to be prepared to adjust on the fly.
I mentioned with Denon being out, and you yourself mentioned some players stepping up in his absence. Who are some of those guys that we should be on the lookout for? Overall,
we're really young. We got a lot of guys who are, for the first time this year, seeing some varsity minutes. Maybe one of the exceptions to that is
Malik Mahmood, who last year when Ethan got hurt, Malik stepped in to kind of take on that role. And so far this season, he's done a really nice job of growing into being a solid point guard. Does a nice job of getting us into our offense, and also does a nice job of looking to score. We have another junior in our backcourt, Justin Freeman, who's playing varsity minutes for the first time this year. And then we have a couple seniors that are playing a lot bigger roles this year so far. Kassam Alzir, Hisham Assad, Kenny Peters, Jamison O'Reilly. Those are our 4 seniors right now who are really giving us a big chunk of our minutes. And, we're doing a lot of the things that seniors should be doing, stepping up when needed, taking on leadership roles, things like that.
You guys have a considerably tough schedule in the lead up to the tournament from now, playing Lincoln Way Central, Homewood Flossmoor, Tinley Park, and Sandburg, all conference opponents for you guys. Do you think that's going to help you guys be more prepared come December 26th?
Yeah, I mean, our conference, I think, sometimes gets a little overlooked. I think our conference this year is a lot stronger than maybe what some people had thought. Stag is obviously off to a great start. HF is off to a great start. We had 3 conference games the other day that 2 went into double overtime, 1 went into overtime. So our conference schedule, top to bottom, is really going to prepare us for some of the things that we're going to see at the Tosh. But again, there's a lot of really good teams at that tournament as well. So I think it's going to help prepare us. But again, we still have to be able to execute and do the things that we want to be successful at to win games in the end.
Well said, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us, and best of luck to you guys in the tournament this year.
Thank you guys very much. Looking forward to coming out.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you again to Coach Stern. Now let's talk about this interesting Riverside Brookfield team. They're having an amazing start, Zach.
This team is starting out 6-2. They have some great chemistry, Luca, like you were saying. They have 4 returning seniors from last year's roster, which is really going to help them build the chemistry they need to beat these better teams in the Tosh.
John, I mean, looking at this Riverside Brookfield team, you want to maintain this hot start, but Andrew is definitely a credible threat. How, if you are Riverside Brookfield, do you pull this one out?
I mean, I got to compliment Riverside Brookfield. Replacing 90% of your scoring and then going 6-2 is very impressive. Andrews, they have a great run. They have a lot of strong players on their team, but I think as long as you just move with the game, know how to just keep off fouls. That was Riverside Brookfield's biggest hurt last year, the fouls. So if they can replace that, they'll be good.
Interesting way of seeing it. Now let's take a look at this final game here. The 8 o'clock slot, Batavia versus York. The York Dukes, the home team. The Batavia Bulldogs, longtime members of the Jack Tosh, coached by head coach Jim Nazos, good friends of us here of the York Dukes. John, what do we have on these Bulldogs?
Well, the Bulldogs had finished 2-2 last year. They have guard Joe Reed and Xavier Justice, who are 2 solid players. They had 3rd place in 2017, and I don't think that it's far from it. They might do it again this year.
They have a tough opponent in the York Dukes, day 1 nonetheless. Griffin, what do we have on them?
Dukes, I think this is one of their best chance to be a title contender in a while now. The field of play, they definitely stack up well against it, their main opponents being St. Ignatius in the quad right above them. Otherwise, they have a very young roster and a promising future. If they don't get it done this year, I wouldn't be surprised if they do in the near future.
We sat down with head coach Mike Dunn in person to talk about his team's hot 6-1 start and what has been going into that. All right, I'm joined here now by Coach Mike Dunn of the York Dukes, the home team here for the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, off to an incredible start this year, 6-1, taking down conference opponents in DGN and OPRF. Coach Dunn, thank you so much for joining us, and what has gotten you guys off to such a hot start?
Well, thank you for having us and having me. What a privilege and an honor to be a part of the legendary Jack Tosh tournament. We're very excited where we're at. We've had great leadership, senior leadership from our 3-year varsity player in Hunter Stepanek. Costa Campus played a lot last year. Jackson Rennick. All those guys in our senior class have been outstanding. And then we've gotten great contributions from our younger guards, led by Sori Asgadon, Will O'Leary, Joseph Luby, and Nathan Poku. So we like where we're at. we have a lot to improve on, and we're just excited for the opportunity to play in the tournament.
You've been pretty open this year to trying some new stuff out, too. I mean, you've been running almost a 12-man rotation most of these games. What has been the motive behind that?
Well, we feel like we have 5 legit big guys that can play. Our wrecking crew, as we call them, that we can rotate 2 guys in at a time, and that can play those 2 spots. As I said, led by Hunter Costa Jackson, Miles Burnison, a junior that's played very well, and then Will Greetis, who's a sophomore that's up with us in the varsity. So those guys have been done a fantastic job, and I think within with our guards and wings that we feel that really the utmost confidence with any of them that they can play and do what is needed to do within what we're doing offensively or defensively. So it's been a great team effort, and we want to continue to do that.
For the day one, you guys are paired up with the Batavia Bulldogs. You will be taking them on. After that, you will face the winner of Andrew versus Riverside Brookfield. But just looking at that Batavia game, how are you guys preparing for that one?
Well, Batavia is very good. I mean, they return a lot from last year. They had really tough games, maybe a possession or 2 away from being, 5-2, 6-1. So that first round game is going to be very challenging. Coach Nazos is a good friend of mine. I played for him at Wheat North. He'll have them ready, so we will have our hands full with them. But we'll prepare. We have obviously 2 games this weekend with Proviso West tomorrow night, and then Lake Zurich on Saturday, and then we'll really get after our Batavia breakdown and scout and all that stuff next week. So it'll be a challenge, as the whole tournament is a challenge. So we're excited for the opportunity.
Just looking at your team from abroad, I mean, what are some of the things that the fans should look out for? Some storylines or some specific contributions that players have been putting on for you?
Well, we're big. We are big. We got some big dudes, man. We, it's basically, 3 offensive linemen right from the football team and the great success that they had that are giving us very valuable minutes. And then, as I mentioned, with Miles Burnison and Will Greetis. But I like our guards. They've done a great job. They play extremely hard. I think that's one of the things that we pride ourselves is our effort level and the way that we want to play. I think one thing that sticks out for us is our rebounding has been outstanding this year. We're averaging right around 13 or 14 offensive rebounds, which has been huge, and given us extra possessions, which has led to our success. I think one of the biggest things we have to prove on is taking care of the basketball. I think that's one thing that we try to set a goal each game for single-digit turnovers, and I think we're averaging 13-ish. So that's one thing that we have to do a better job is take care of the basketball.
The Dukes take on the Batavia Bulldogs again at 8 p.m. in the main gym. Do not miss that one, the last game of the day. Coach Dunn, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to sit down with us. Best of luck to you guys this year in the tournament.
Thank you guys so much for having us and everything that you guys do at the tournament. You make it very special. So appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to Coach Mike Dunn for sitting down with us. But now it's time to talk about some of our selections for this year's tournament. Let's start out with some of our underdogs because, I mean, it's pretty interesting to look at some of these underdog teams from a perspective, and I have a feeling we're all going to have some different names for this. John, who is your underdog in this year's Jack Tosh?
My underdog and somebody who I'd love to see succeed this year is going to be Stag. I mean, now they're undefeated as of recording, so I gotta say, these guys are my underdogs this year.
Interesting team for sure. Again, just a great storyline. And Griffin, who do you have as your underdog?
My underdog, I'm going to go with Downers Grove South. If they are able to beat Oswego, all they have to do is get past St. Ignatius in that second round matchup. And I do think they're able to beat St. Ignatius if they really put their heads down and work towards that matchup there. And if they get past St. Ignatius, they have a pretty easy rest of the way to the championship game. Obviously, St. Ignatius, second team in the state as of taping. But you know what? I believe in Downers Grove South.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of production Flowers can put on for them as a team. Again, reached his 1,000th career point. Zach, who is your underdog for this year's Jack Tosh?
I got to go with John on this one. The Stag Chargers, very underrated team. Marty Struess really turned this program around since last year, helping the team out so much from that terrible record they did have last year.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at this a lot, and Griffin, you said it was down or south that is your underdog, and you talked about how you believe that whoever loses that game can win the consolation championship, and I'm going to agree with that, but I think Oswego's going to win day one. I have them as my underdog. I think this is a very interesting team to look at. I mean, Ethan Vall has been putting up amazing numbers. He's a 3-star sophomore and one of the top players in the state of Illinois. So I think as long as they can stay tapping into him, they can make a great run. But they will have to get past down or south and St. Ignatius to do this. But after that, I believe they are coasting. Now let's take a look at our quadrant winners. Let's start with the first quadrant. This is a pretty interesting one. John, who do you have?
I have to go Palatine with this one. I mean, a strong team like we talked about throughout this entire show, and if they can win this, I think if they can beat their first day opponent, they can go through it and they can coast through the rest of the games.
Interesting team to look at for sure. I mean, they have a lot of veteran leadership, and we'll see what that can give them. Griffin, how about you?
I, too, went with Palatine. You know, the combination of Darren Dick and Tony Belgagnehi, I just don't think there's any way of stopping those two. If they get it going, I think they can take it all the way past the semifinals.
Zach, what do you have? Quadrant 1.
My underdog, I have to go with Stag here. The only problem I see with them in this bracket at all is later in the bracket, in the semifinals. I can see them easily getting through this first quadrant.
For me personally, I'm going to have to go with the Glenbard East Rams. I mean, we were talking about Mike Nee, the South Dakota commit. I mean, Michael O'Brien named him the best shooter in the state of Illinois in the preseason. And I mean, I think if you have a transfer like Keenan House from Bolingbrook as well, that's really going to shape out your team as well. And I don't know. I mean, I think their only real competition in that quadrant is Palatine, but only time will tell. Let's take a look at this second quadrant now. This is another interesting one. This one, the second South Gym quadrant. John, who do you have winning?
You know, we won and saw this game, Luca, and I think we saw a new champion. I got to go St. Ignatius for the second quadrant. They're just the strongest team out of this. They will be the champs. You can mark my words right now. They will be the champs.
Griffin, what do we have for quadrant 2?
I hate to say it, but I'm agreeing with John again. Back-to-back picks. I know it sounds like I'm copying him, but I do believe in the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. Second in the state, you know, they're just so formidable. I don't think any team in that second quadrant stands a chance against them. I think they just go to at least the semifinals, if not all the way to the championship.
Zach, second quadrant South Gym, what do we have?
My pick, it's got to be the Redbirds, Metamora. They're out for revenge. The last couple years, they've been stopped by Bolingbrook so many times, but now with them out of the picture, I really do think they have a chance at getting to the semifinals and the championship game.
I am in disagreement with the two on the right side of me. I'm going to have to go with the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. I really think that if they just keep tapping into Chris Bolte and sophomore Amir Tucker, the sky is the limit for them. Let's switch gyms now and take a look at this third quadrant. Who do we have winning there?
You know, I'm going to have to go Fenwick. These are my personal favorites, and David Ferguson as a coach, like I said, he can move players around to any and to adapt. The prospective Warriors going out first day, I mean, that's going to be a tough game to play, but I think they take the third quadrant very easily. The main gym, electricity, awesome.
Gutsy pick most definitely, Griffin.
I'm going with Perspectives leadership. I think coming into the tournament, they're a new team. Not many teams have much scouting on them, and I think they'll be able to shock their quadrant and get to the semifinals.
Zach, what about you?
I got to go with Lyons Township. They're a very quick team. They will be implementing the shot clock for this tournament, so I think they're going to benefit from that very much.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Lyons Township really has this one in the bag. I mean, it's definitely a tough quadrant. I agree with both of you guys. Fenwick and Perspectives are definitely matchups, but I mean, if you look at players like Timmy Sloan, I mean, also Owen Carroll, who's returning again, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for any team to slow them down, and I think they can make a serious run. Now let's take a look at the fourth quadrant, the last set of games here in the main gym, day one. John, what are we thinking?
You know, all the guys to my left will tell you my favorite team in this Tosh has got to be Lake Zurich. I mean, you got Kane Kretschmar, Adrian Reap, and hopefully Evan Peterson and Tyler Reed. This is a team that cannot be stopped if they get in a groove. I'm going to have to take Lake Zurich.
Griffin, how about you?
I'm going to go with the St. Pat's Shamrocks. I think they'll be able to get it done. I think they'll be able to beat Zurich rather easily, and I think they'll be able to make the semifinals with confidence.
Zach?
I got to agree with John on this one. Lake Zurich, nothing bad to say about them. Tall roster, very quick.
Yeah, I took a lot of time thinking about this one. I originally had St. Pat's, but I'm going to have to go with Riverside Brookfield. I truly believe that with this team's 6-2 start,
they can really sustain it as well. I mean, the perimeter shooting that they're bringing back, the foul trouble, John, like you said, is definitely an issue with their team. But as long as they can stay clear of that, I think they have a pretty easy quadrant besides St. Pat's. Now let's take a look at our semifinalist champions, South Gym. Who do we have coming out on top there, John?
I mean, we love this team. We all know they're going to do it. And do I have to say it? I'm just going to go St. Ignatius, guys. This is the South Gym team. They will own it. They might as well put their name all over it.
Griffin?
You know what? Give me the upset. Give me the Palatine Pirates over the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. I don't think the Wolfpack has enough interior presence to stop Tony Bellinyehi.
I'm going with Metamora. Very underrated team in this bracket. Not a lot of people hyping them up. I do think they have what it takes to get there.
Yeah, I mean, with Metamora, there's a lot of experience or inexperience with that team, if anything. I mean, they're all sophomores. But another team with strong sophomores, strong seniors, and makes the best of it is St. Ignatius. And I'm going to have to take them to take this second quadrant, or take the South Gym. John, what do we have for your second quadrant, or second semifinal?
My second semifinal, I'm going to say it again. This is going to be a Friars comeback. They are going to hopefully take the champs home this year, but I don't see it with St. Ignatius if that's going to how my picks are going to go.
Griffin?
Give me the Shamrocks. I like their matchup against Perspectives. I think they'll be able to win that game easily.
Zach, how about you?
Lions Township all the way. They're a great team, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to beat them.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Lions Township. I mean, the perimeter shooting of this team, too, is something else that I forgot to highlight. I think they have a real shot at taking this one out. I have them playing RB, and I think they will handle them very nicely. Now, let's get to what we've all been waiting for, our championship picks. John, who is your champion for the 2025 Jack Tosh Holiday Classic?
I got to say, the good old Wolfpack of Chicago are going to take this one. They're going to come into the West Suburban Conference and show us how Chicago balls.
Griffin.
You know what? Give me the Palatine Pirates, and I'm calling it now. Tony Bellinyehi will be all-tournament first team.
Zach, how about you?
Not much else left to say. I'm going to say Lions Township. Great team, great roster, great coaching. Nothing bad about them.
I'm going to take the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. Have not won since 2011, but are looking stronger than ever with a complete roster. I mean, Coach Matt Monroe has done such an excellent job. We will see what their record pans out to be. Again, they play DePaul Prep and Crane before the start of the tournament. That will wrap up our 2025 Jack Tosh Holiday Classic preview show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We cannot wait to see these gyms packed on December 26th. A special thanks to Jack Borchers for working behind the scenes, as well as Vince Doran and Mike Dunn. I've been Luca DeSanto with Zach Silkaitis, Griffin Hanna, John Finucane. Have a Merry Christmas.